Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Alex Drobin podcast. If you're getting entertained by any of the content, please consider subscribing. That would be incredible. Today, we are back with Noteworthy with Nick Bear, where we discuss our favorite stories from the week, from the month, from the year, or really whatever we want to talk about. So, Nick, first of all, how have you been?
Doing really well, Alex. Glad to be here, of course, on the Alex Drobin podcast, as always. Um, some exciting news this week. Happy to dive in.
All right. So, let's just jump right in. I have a great story for you, I think. Suits is the most streamed show of 2023. And they're actually the most streamed show over a single season of all time. It amassed 57.7 billion minutes of combined viewing across Netflix and Peacock last year, which actually surpassed The Office, who had that record in 2020. And The Office was streamed 57.17 billion minutes of combined viewing in 2020. So Suits beat that out by 530 million minutes. Now, this is because in 2023, it was the first time that Netflix actually put Suits onto their platform. And a lot of people are saying that a lot of that has to do with Meghan Markle being on the show. And because people are genuinely interested in Meghan Markle, a lot of people tuned in to see her acting. So, very interesting story because this is the most streamed show of all time at this point. And then I wanted to take a look at what the second most streamed show was. And the second most streamed show was a Disney Plus show called Bluey. I had no idea what it was. It's called Bluey, and it clocked in for 43.9 billion minutes on Disney. We'll get into this a little bit more, but first of all, have you seen Suits and have you seen Bluey?
I am proud to say I've seen both. As an uncle of a 2-year-old, I know exactly what Bluey is. I don't know how they do it, but they've found a way to get their hooks into these children's brains, and Bluey is, I guess, the best at doing that. But yes, also a Suits guy, big Rachel Zane fan. Donna, I'm more of a Donna guy myself,
More of
but
a Donna guy, more of a Donna guy.
more of a Donna
I
guy,
love
but
Donna. I love Donna.
love Donna, love Harvey, but Rachel Zane, I didn't think of that. I guess that's exactly why, right? With Meghan Markle being in the show, of course, that's going to drive a lot of interest to people because I watched Suits like years ago. I haven't seen an episode in years. Um, that's why it was initially a little shocking to me that that was the TV show that had really popped off in 2023. But it makes some sense, with Markle, her fame growing kind of since the show has ended. It makes sense that fans want to jump back in and check that out. And it's one of those shows, I think, too, that like The Office, other ones you mentioned, where you put it on in the background, you can just jump in whatever episode, whatever season, it doesn't matter. You can just pick it up. It's one of those ones that's just like an ongoing storyline that you can just put it on and have it there. You don't have to watch like it's not like a serious drama where like you don't want to just put it on randomly in the background or while you're doing something else, chores or whatever. It's a show you can just have on at all times, just running.
But I do think you have to watch the beginning of it
Yeah, you
to
do
kind
to
of
understand it.
know. Yeah.
But like
And
if
then
you've already
afterwards,
watched it, if you've
yeah.
already seen it, you can just put it back on. Like if you're a repeat watcher.
Yeah, absolutely. It first aired in 2011 on the USA network, and it went from
Wow.
2011 to 2019. And then it's had this resurgence. It's so insane to me just how these shows have their resurgences on these other platforms. And, I liked Suits when it first came up, but to me, it dropped off pretty significantly within probably the fifth or sixth season. It just
Yes.
became a little bit repetitive to me, but it's crazy to think that it's the most streamed show of all time at this point, like of all time. And there's some heavy hitting shows on that all time list. Obviously, The Office, Stranger Things was a big one, and yeah, it's funny. Like you said again, Meghan Markle was probably one of the top reasons why it got streamed so much. It was incredible. But Nick, this got me into the streaming sort of wars that are going on right now. So obviously, you have HBO, you have Netflix, you have Disney Plus, and then it got me thinking about how much each of these companies are worth. So just to quickly dive into this again, I know most people don't care about this as much, maybe as I do, but Netflix has a market cap, so it's worth $245 billion. Okay. Which was news to me because Disney is only worth $177 billion. So Netflix has surpassed Disney like a long time ago, which, like if you look at the 5 year history of these companies, um, it looks like looks like Netflix has just been growing so drastically over the last whatever, 5, 6 years. And then it got me thinking about where Walt Disney makes their money from. A lot of it is entertainment, about 60%, but then 32% of it is from experiences. So I don't know, man. Like this whole tech industry is really interesting to me in terms of how these companies work with each other in order to like sell content to one another. Because initially people were hoarding these shows. So like Walt Disney was hoarding shows, HBO was hoarding shows, and then they started selling them off to Netflix. And that's why there's been such resurgences over the last little while. But in terms of those like what are you do you have a Disney Plus subscription?
I do, yeah. Disney Plus, Apple TV, Netflix, Crave. I think we talked about this a bit in a previous episode where this is the nature of television now. Like I've got one show on this. I'm watching True Detective on Crave, gotta have Crave. I've got a show that I like on Apple TV, whatever. I gotta have Apple TV. Like you find your shows and then you have to subscribe to those different services. So you end up just having all the services or most of them. Like I've got to watch the NFL on DAZN. I've got to watch English Premier League on Fubo TV. Like I'm inundated with apps and logins and passwords and streaming services. It's kind of crazy.
So Crave is 14.99 a month. Disney is 13.99 a month. Netflix is what, 12.99 a month. Like we talked
Hashtag
about
how
before.
rich.
Like you're ending up spending like 60, $70 on all of these platforms per month. And yeah, like we talked about before, it's insane because we thought that everything was gonna be cheaper than these cable bundles, but it turns out that it's gonna be more expensive.
It's
So anyways,
essentially the same as buying a cable package, except everything's in a different place. I guess it's all in like your phone. You just open up each app and then stream onto your TV, or like if you have a smart TV, it's already the apps are already on the TV. So it's not that hard to like get through, but it is kind of funny how we've come full circle where we used to just have it all in a cable package and you just go channel 100, channel 125, whatever. And it's now the same thing, except it's all just inside these apps. I kind of would honestly prefer it was just all in one now, but that's not going to happen based on what we've seen.
you know what else? Also, like, oh, our timer's up. Our timer's up. But just one last thing, one last point. I think once that sort of news comes out saying that a show is being streamed the most, it gets even more viewership. So I
Yeah.
could see I could see Suits being streamed significantly more this year than maybe even last year, just because, like for example, when I saw that, I clicked on Suits and I started watching the first episode of Suits, which is such an interesting episode, and it
Yeah.
grabs you right in, it hooks you right in. So I predict that Suits is going to get even more watch time in 2024 than it did in 2023. Boom.
I like that take. Yeah. Come for the Rachel Zane, stay for the Donna. All right.
Stay for
So,
the dono. Okay, wait, ready? Let me set it off. What's your story? Go ahead.
okay. So, this kind of leads into the story that I have this week, which is around the launch of the Apple Vision Pro. Now, for those who aren't initiated, the Apple Vision Pro is kind of the latest category of tech that Apple is launching. It comes with a hefty price tag. And okay, you look at it and you think this is just another VR headset. And my
Mhm.
friends, it could not be farther from that. Now, I can't say that I have personally tried it because I haven't. I'm not dropping $3,500 on this headset. Not anytime soon, that's for sure. But I'm very, very intrigued by this piece of technology because it sounds, and I don't want to be hyperbolic here, revolutionary. I mean, it's pretty crazy what this thing can do. Now, there's an article that I read in Vanity Fair from the great writer Nick Bilton, tech guy. He's covered all of these different, like any launch, you name it, he's done it, he's tried it, and he's written about it. So a great piece in Vanity Fair. I wanted to shout that out. But he had one line in here that really grabbed my attention. That was he describes how he compares this new technology to just your standard VR headset. Quote, this was as far from a VR headset as a kid's Schwinn bicycle is from a Gulfstream G800 private jet. Now, we're talking about a
Wow.
whole other type of thing. So with VR, and I believe you've tried a VR headset before, right?
Yep.
Um, it takes up your entire field of vision and you're immersed into that new world essentially, right? Um, your whole peripheral vision, everything, you're inside this world, whatever it is, you're watching a movie, you're playing a game, whatever, and it's cool, you're locked in there. Now, the big difference between this piece of tech and a VR headset like that is that while yes, you can have your entire field of vision um totally encaptured by whatever you're looking at, there is also the option of you literally have it on and you can walk around through your whole life because you can see through it like these kind of weird big ski goggles. So you're essentially, you can see your hands, you can see people who are walking past you, you can see your whole life in front of you, your
Wait,
actual
wait, wait. Hold on.
reality.
So you're telling me you can have them somewhat clear, someone like so if you're walking, you can have them on kind of like sunglasses and you're seeing what's around you. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. That's exactly right. So you're
It would
walking
look kind
around.
of silly, but I could
It
see it.
looks, now here's the thing. It looks silly, and there's going to be a long time before I think they can actually get this tech to work into like actual sunglasses, like because right now it's like a big bulky headset, and that's one of the big downsides. Um, but essentially, it's like you're walking through life with you got sunglasses on, but all of a sudden, your apps, like if you picture your iPhone and your apps, like they all pop up right in front of you. And then what, rather than use like a remote control or something like you would on a VR headset, you just use your fingers and you can type, like you just can hit each app, one thing can open, you can like move it to the side, bring up another app. It's I think there's a lot of potential for this to be like a truly revolutionary piece of tech when we're talking about viewing, watching media, movies, TV, whatever, um, video games. Like and you can also alter the background. So you can put yourself like on the shore of Lake Louise with all the mountains in front of you, and then boom, you pop up a movie screen in front of you, and you can expand it so that it looks like it's bigger than an IMAX screen. And you're sitting right there with the mountains behind you, and you've got like your own personal big IMAX screen. Like this is the kind of stuff that I really encourage everyone to go and watch a trailer on Apple about this because it's really different. There is a couple quotes from like James Cameron, the famous director, who is not like an Apple fanboy or anything, and he was saying that he thought that this was like mind-blowing, revolutionary tech. Like this is the kind of level of stuff that we're talking about here. But there are some downsides, and this is what I wanted to get at and get your opinion on. So first of all, we were talking about Netflix, not available on there. YouTube, not available. All of these streaming apps, Google stuff, it's all right now being withheld from this new product. So you
Mhm.
can't just pop into it and watch your latest Suits episode or whatever and get Donna in like massive 3D. You
You
can't
love
do that.
Donna, huh? You
Can't
love
do that.
Donna. You love Donna. You're a Donna guy. You're a Donna guy through and through.
Donna guy. But I do think that this is a game changer for just consuming media in general. And honestly, the one downside, and I kind of thought of it myself reading some of these articles, and Nick Bilton, the writer of the Vanity Fair article, touched on this, was the downside is not necessarily the price, which is a downside. The weight and the size are a downside for sure. But the major downside is that this is so friggin' good that once you take it off and you look at your iPhone, you feel like you're holding like a concrete tablet from the Stone Age. Like it's
Ooh.
so much better than everything that we have right now that it makes you just want to
Be in that
consume
world.
media by yourself and be inside that world and never leave it. And that could be a problem down the line, right?
Did you see that video where the lady is wearing the headset and something scares her in her field of vision and she slams directly into a TV and the TV shatters and the glass shatters around her
Yeah.
because that's how real it looked? I feel like there's gonna be a lot more situations like that. So hold on, our time's almost up, but this is too interesting. To your point, they're withholding Netflix, they're withholding YouTube from it, but I'm reading here on Apple's website more than 600 apps and games designed to take advantage of the unique and powerful capabilities of the Apple Vision Pro will be available this Friday, February 2nd. Infinite canvas where apps can be scaled beyond the boundaries of a traditional display and introduces an intuitive and powerful three-dimensional user interface. Of course, Apple Vision Pro is unlocking the imagination of our worldwide developer community, and we're inspired by the range of spatial experiences it created for this exciting new platform, said Susan Prescott, Apple's Vice President of Worldwide Development, Developer Relations. Okay, 600 new spatial. You know what? The first thing I have to say is that this VR stuff is already so good that I can't wait to try this thing.
Yeah.
I can't wait to try it. Like, if you've ever played a racing game in VR and you've put on the headset and you've gone to a place like even whatever, any sort of arcade where it has VR headsets, it's incredible. But now with all of this news, and I don't know if it's being overhyped up, but with all of this news, it makes me want to buy one of these headsets. You
Yeah.
know, that would be incredible because, like you said, man, I think holding an iPhone afterwards will just be kind of boring.
Yeah, it would. I think that's a big danger of this. And it's not just like VR seems to be just kind of pure pleasure. You play a racing game, you go into like an RPG game, whatever, and it's something cool like that. But this is also like it links perfectly with your iPhone and with your Mac. So you can just pop up your screen in front of you and type, and like you have everything right in front of you. Like it also syncs well to work with. The camera is like a huge, huge part of this too, where it takes essentially 3D photos and videos so that
In real time.
yeah, so like you can take videos that like you just say you're playing with your kids in the park, whatever it is.
And you're wearing a
Um
huge headset.
you're wearing and so you're wearing this headset so you look like a fucking weirdo, but you're taking these photos where then when you put the headset back on later and you rewatch it and it's like you're there again. It's like you're back in the park and your kids are right in front of you. So we're talking about not just looking at your phone and looking at a photo and being like, "Oh yeah, cool memory." This is like essentially like being able to relive a memory.
So
Like
this
that is
records everything.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
how much space
you
is on this
take
thing?
videos on it. I don't know about the space on it. We'll have to look into that a bit, but you can
I
take
feel like I
videos
feel
on
like that
it
would be
and
really
then
really tough to have enough space on that to last, especially if it's doing, if it's recording 3D tech or 3D video and whatever. I feel like that'd be a little difficult. But you know what I was thinking? That situation which you just kind of described, playing with your kids in a park and having that headset on, brings me to like we've touched on this. It feels like all this technology is slowly getting more and more integrated into the human body, right? This is still outside of the human body. You're wearing these this VR headset, but soon enough, there's going to be something that we can implant into our bodies where this VR headset will just be in our eyes and in our
yeah.
field of vision. So it's like we're starting to look more and more like these androids and like these aliens because we're wearing all of the stuff over top of us, including things like your Apple Watch, right? People wear these Aura rings. So you have these accessories that are already connected to your body, but they're just not inside your body just yet. They're not
Yeah.
integrated within the human body. But I feel like this is another step where it'll be more and more, it'll be less and less frowned upon. Let's just say that to be walking around with a headset like that because people will be like, man, this is the best technology of all time.
And that's the
Um,
thing. At some point, it just becomes normal because everyone's like, okay, yeah, maybe you look weird, but at some point, is everyone's just gonna say, this is too good to not have. It'd be like when people thought it was weird to walk around with a computer in your pocket. Bring a phone with you wherever you go. Why would anyone want to bring a phone with you? We have phones at home. Why would you need to do that? And now we can't even imagine not doing that or driving without. He used an example here driving without a radio, a stereo in your car. At one
mm.
point, cars didn't have stereos, right? And now it's like, of course, a car would have a stereo. Why wouldn't it? It's this kind of level of technology, at least according to some tech people.
The one thing that would be a little bit difficult is, first of all, the price here is too great. Like it's
Yeah,
$3,500.
it's too crazy.
So the price is going to be like that's extremely difficult for people um to justify, I guess, It's
It's
like
going
a
to be years
30.
before the average person's able to do it.
No, but here's the other thing. I was thinking about this too, and then, you know, iPhones are still extremely expensive. People are still buying iPhones. Um, we talked about this last episode, but it's their best selling product, and iPhones can range from whatever, $1,500 to $3,000 in some cases. So in this case, if you're looking at a $3,500 set, maybe right now it seems like that price is really high, but then, soon enough, maybe the price will come down when the tech becomes easier to um, like manufacture, and then maybe people are going to start going on payment plans for these VR headsets. I don't know. I don't know. But right now, I think the price is a little high for the average consumer, in my
Agree.
opinion.
Much too high right now. All right, let's move on. What else do you got for me today?
Oh, there you go. Okay. I have a couple of quick hitting stories here. First of all, the Groundhog Day today. It's February 2nd. Groundhog Day. And just for people that don't know, it's a tradition observed in the United States and Canada on February 2nd every year. It's a Pennsylvania Dutch superstition that if a groundhog emerges from its burrow on this day and sees its shadow, it will retreat to its den, and winter will go on for 6 more weeks. If it does not go back into its den and it kind of walks around, then there will be an early spring. So today, an early spring was predicted. There were 3 groundhogs that did not see their shadows, walked out, did not walk back in, and hopefully we have an early spring, which would be great because it is disgusting outside, and it's been disgusting outside. We've had almost no sun. I think there might be some sun right now, but yeah, Groundhog Day, spring's coming early. Quick hitting facts. What do you think of that? Do you believe in it?
I mean, yeah, if of course, why would I question this age-old tradition of Punxsutawney Phil or Wyerton Willie to bring it home to Ontario? You know, the little dude sees his shadow and he gets scared, and yeah, more winter. But today, you know, these little piggies, they brought the good news. So
They
I'm
they brought the good news. Everyone
happy
should
to
be
have them
excited
some
about
sun
this.
finally.
Also, it seems like it hasn't really been that cold in Toronto. It's just been extremely
It's been
gloomy.
pretty good.
Yeah, so maybe we've somehow missed the extremely cold winter that we usually get. What's your next story? Quick hitting.
Right. I've got a weird one today as well. And we're talking about espionage. We're talking about spies. We're talking about geopolitics. These are things that, work behind the scenes and people pull the strings across the globe with what's happening. And this story is in that vein. And we're talking about a pigeon
Whew.
that Indian police have finally cleared a suspected Chinese spy pigeon after 8 months in bird lockup. This is according to the Associated Press. Now you're thinking, what the hell? A pigeon? This doesn't make any sense. And you would be correct because the pigeon was not a spy. He was not a Chinese spy. This poor guy was part of a race in Taiwan. I don't know if he got blown off course or what, but he ended up in India, somewhere near Mumbai, and he had a couple of rings attached to his leg just to be sure. These the Indian police, or I guess it was police, they grabbed the pigeon, and he's been spent the last 8 months, I guess, being interrogated in detention, and was finally released into the wild on Tuesday, according to the Press Trust of India. So I mean, I'm picturing this poor bird just sitting there, and they're looking at him. Who do you work for? Like he's just fluttering, like, no, like, what are you supposed to say? I don't know. It's one of those weird
It
ones where
doesn't
it's
it
kind
doesn't
of
really
going
make
viral a bit.
sense, man. In my head, it's like if you have a pigeon there and you're suspecting that it belongs to another country and it's a spy bird, like wouldn't you just kind of get rid of that pigeon? I don't know, or like examine it a little bit further. I don't know why they had to take 6 months on that. But
8 months.
yeah, the story it ended up being a Taiwanese flying pigeon, right? Is that what it was? Eventually
Yeah,
turned out the
he was in a
pigeon
race.
was an open water racing bird from Taiwan that had escaped and made its way to India. With police permission, the bird was transferred to the Bombay Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, whose doctor set it free on Tuesday. Reading more into the story, this isn't actually the first time where they've had incidents like this. In 2020, there was an Indian-controlled Kashmir released a pigeon belonging to Pakistani fishermen after a probe found that the bird, which had flown across the heavily militarized border between the nuclear arms nation, was not a spy. And then it happened in 2016 as well when a pigeon was put into custody because there was a note on it. And we won't say what the contents of that note are because we don't want to get taken off of YouTube. So, yeah, this is apparently a real thing. Like spy pigeons.
The
Is this
crazy
what
to
we
me is, like, are they actually finding real spy pigeons? What makes them think that there are spy pigeons out there? Because it seems like they're finding pigeons that aren't spies, but are
and
they
if there
finding
were and if
pigeons
there
that
were
are?
yeah, if there were spy pigeons, like why would they also why did the story become such a big story? It doesn't make sense.
I think it's just funny, it's like,
It's like all over the place. It's on
dog
every
bites man,
platform.
no big deal. Man bites dog, big deal.
Okay, next. Um, quick story, close to home. Well, it is at home in Toronto. Toronto's hosting the All-Star and the NHL All-Star game and the NHL All-Star weekend here this weekend, and the city is buzzing. Tons of stuff going on. All the bars are full. People are partying. Last night we went to an establishment and We saw Wayne Gretzky there. We saw a bunch of NHL legends there. We saw a bunch of head coaches there, and it seemed like the vibes were just on point. So that's just all I wanted to put out there. I'm not gonna say any names or where we were, but just needed to touch on the fact that the All-Star festivities are in Toronto this weekend, and there are a bunch of people partying and a bunch of absolute NHL legends all around the city. And by the way, last night, that was the first time I've been in a room 5 feet away from a top 10 greatest athlete of all time. What would you put him in? Like, where
Wayne
would you put him?
Gretzky, man, I mean,
Top five? Greatest
has to
athlete of
has
all
to be.
time?
I think so. I mean, I don't know. It depends on the criteria. If we're talking stats, no one's breaking a bunch of his records like ever. So that's pretty rare territory. But he's not a better athlete than like Connor McDavid is, but it's different. Like
So
it,
what should that term be? What the best
most
like
successful, just the all around GOAT. I mean,
yeah,
he's the
most
undisputed
successful
GOAT.
athlete of all time, I
Yeah,
guess, probably.
we're talking Michael Jordan, we're talking Usain Bolt, we're talking Michael Phelps. This is the level of Wayne Gretzky. Like he's right
Yeah,
there
absolutely. He's
at the
like he's
top.
I think he has to be in the top five. Honestly, Nick, he looked really good. Like he looked healthy. He looked pretty jacked. Like the man is looking good. How old is he right now? Here, let's take a look at this.
Probably in
Wayne.
his 60s. Now the big question though is was this man drinking 99 wine or 99 whiskey? Because
I'm
if
not sure
not,
if you I'm not sure if he was drinking or not, but I saw there was a lot of 99 wine and whiskey behind the bar. He's 63 years old. The guy looked really good last night. I don't know. It was just nice to be in the presence of greatness. And
the great one.
I'm talking about myself. And I'm kidding. No, but it was awesome. So, anyways, that's the story. What do you have next? Anything else?
That's it for me, man.
Uh I had one more thing just quickly. A raccoon caused a massive power outage in Toronto. So literally like 7,000 homes were affected. Wait, let me just, yeah, 7,000 customers in downtown Toronto were affected. And apparently a raccoon just climbed into like a very integrated power line system and just took out a massive few blocks of the city. I don't know if you heard about that, but
I
it
did
was like a
not. Did the
huge
raccoon
news.
survive?
I don't know. I don't know.
He must have been electrocuted like crazy.
But also, like, how is this even possible that a raccoon snuck into like a power grid? You know, that makes
I don't
me
know.
feel like
Blame
we do
Doug
not.
Ford, blame Olivia Chow. I mean, our the Toronto infrastructure is not up to par if a simple raccoon, although raccoons have been causing problems in Toronto for generations, and they will continue to do so, it sounds like.
Hey, so when I got my first ever apartment, it was down at Lakeshore and Royal York, and my parking spot was right. It was like back in the day. Okay, my first ever one. I felt all good about it. But my parking spot was like fairly close to the where the garbage was in the back of the building. And literally every single time I got out of my car, there was a raccoon family that was like all around the garbage. And I got to know them pretty well. I fed the raccoons a few times and I don't know, I got along with the raccoons. So I'm not as opposed to raccoons as most people in the city are because I don't think they're as bad as most people think. But, I understand why people hate raccoons, especially ones that are taking out massive power grids.
If you had
That's
a
wild.
dog owners will know the pain of a raccoon in a tree while you're walking your dog at night. Um, there's a few stories like that, but I agree. You know, my aunt used to live in the annex. They used to feed the raccoons at the back of their on their deck, put out a bunch of cat food. Raccoons come and scrape it all up and run away. Good fun. Good
Good
Toronto
fun.
fun.
Good, solid Toronto fun. Okay, that's all I have for you. Are you coming back to the city anytime soon or what?
I will
When?
soon.
When?
In the next couple of weeks, we'll do it.
You damn well better. Okay, that's it. Do you have anything else to say?
Like and subscribe. You know what to do. The Alex Drobin podcast, Noteworthy with Nick Bear, every week.
Every
Let's
week,
do it.
whatever, whenever we figure out a good time to do it. But yeah, thank you so much for watching and listening. Make sure to subscribe, like on all platforms. Really appreciate it. Nick, love you. See you soon.
Love you. See ya.